Hi, I'm Steve G. Jones, clinical hypnotherapist. I want to tell you a little bit about myself before we get started. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of Florida, a master's degree in education from Armstrong Atlantic State University, and I'm working on a doctorate in education at Georgia Southern University. I am a certified clinical hypnotherapist, a member of both the American Board of Hypnotherapy and the National Guild of Hypnotists. I'm president of the American Alliance of Hypnotists. I'm the director of the Steve G. Jones School of Clinical Hypnotherapy. I'm also on the board of directors of the American Lung Association in Los Angeles. I have over 2 decades of experience in hypnotherapy. I currently live in Savannah, Georgia, but I see clients and teach classes worldwide. My client base consists largely of people who need to lose weight, stop smoking, or gain some sort of confidence. Other clients include sales teams interested in boosting motivation and increasing income, singles searching for love, insomniacs desiring proper sleep, just to name a few. When I travel to see clients and do hypnotherapy certification classes around the world, I go to such places as Tokyo, Japan, Barcelona, Spain, Paris, France, London, England, Montreal, Canada, Los Angeles, California, and New York, just to name a few. By the way, since you have an interest in hypnosis, perhaps you would be interested in becoming a certified clinical hypnotherapist. It's very easy to do. All you have to do is go to my website, stevegjones.com, and click on Hypnosis Classes at the top. You can either train in person or online. You will then be added to our worldwide directory, and you will receive a certificate. I was fortunate for several years to have an office in Beverly Hills, California, where I worked with such wonderful people as Tom Mankiewicz, the writer of Superman, Geraldine Saunders, the writer of The Love Boat. Recently, I was invited to be on The View with Barbara Walters and Whoopi Goldberg to talk about the powers of hypnosis. And with my over 20 years experience, I'm now happy to share with you techniques which I have both developed and learned about over the years, which I believe can help you improve your life. I encourage you to visit my website, stevegjones.com. There you'll find my life's work. Over 15 books on hypnotherapy, over 250 programming CDs which program your mind to achieve your goals in such areas as weight loss and motivation and stopping smoking. And of course, audiobooks like this one, where I'm talking with you and sharing in a very dynamic way the techniques you can use to make an improvement in your life and the way you do things. And the reason I'm telling you all this is not to impress you, but to impress upon you that your teacher, myself, is very capable, and I know what I'm talking about, and I'm happy to share this information with you. So rest assured you're in good hands, and let's have some fun as we now learn how to do certain techniques in a hypnotic way. I wish you well in your endeavors, and if I can be of further assistance in your journey, feel free to send an email to steve@stevegjones.com. Well, let's go ahead and get started with astral projection. I'm Steve G. Jones, clinical hypnotherapist, and I'm going to be your tour guide as you learn how to astral project. I want to start with my story on astral projection. It was 1984, and I was a junior in high school at a military school, and I was stuck there. And we didn't have a whole lot of fun, as you can imagine, at a military school. We marched around a lot and wore uniforms and had to make our beds and eat at a certain time and pretty much do what they told us to do when they told us to do it. So I was looking for a way out, if only in my mind or my spirit I was looking for a way out. So I got a book about astral projection. It was long before the internet, so I couldn't look it up online, but I got a book at a local bookstore about astral projection, and I started reading about it. And what I found out is that astral projection is a natural occurrence. It's part of who we are. It's part of what we do. When we go to sleep at night, we astral project.
It's a matter of getting control of that. So I started learning about this, educating myself about astral projection, and soon I was practicing. And I'm going to take you through later on how to practice astral projection, how to do it properly. But I started practicing. So in my bed at night, I would lie there and I would close my eyes and I'd work on astral projecting. And I was having some reasonable progress. But one night I had an amazing dream, and in that dream, my body felt like pure energy. It felt like my body was just electric. I had never had a dream like that before. Everything was intensified. All sensations in my body were intensified. And my dream also had a plot. The plot was that here I was out of my room after taps. Now, taps means lights out. That's in a military school. That's when lights go out and you're supposed to be in bed and you're supposed to go to sleep. And anyone out after taps, after lights out, is in trouble. You get what they call demerits. And if you get demerits, you have to march on the weekends when you're supposed to be enjoying relaxing time. And you have to rake up leaves and do all kinds of things that you don't want to do with your free time. That's what happens when you get caught out of your room after taps and you get demerits. So in the plot of the dream, I was very nervous. I thought, what am I doing out of my room? Suddenly I found myself in this dream. My body's feeling like pure energy, and I'm out of my room after taps, and I'm thinking, I am in big trouble. I've got to find a way to get back to my room without getting caught. And just to make it more interesting in my dream, the assistant commandant, the commandant's the person in charge of the military school, but the assistant commandant, who was even more mean than the commandant, he was one of the adults in the school who was in charge of us, he was walking by. And there were some buses there, and I hid behind the buses. Now, all of these structures that I was seeing buildings, and I was seeing buses, and I was seeing the ground. All of these things actually existed. And I had seen them many times. So there was nothing in my dream that was made up, that wasn't actually there. If I were to go to that place, I would see all of those things. That's an important point about this dream, which will make sense later. And there was the assistant commandant. And I was potentially in trouble, so I was trying to find a way back to my room without him seeing me or anyone else seeing me, because at a military school, there are also guards. There are students who are assigned to guard duty, and their job is to find the other students who are sneaking out after taps. And, of course, to catch them and tell on them and have them rake leaves on the weekends and all kinds of stuff they don't want to do. So I was in a real predicament. Suddenly, I was out after taps. I hadn't even gotten out of my bed as far as I knew, but there I was, out, and potentially about to get caught. And to make matters even worse, when I looked to my left, there was another student, or cadet as we called them. We were cadets in the military school. There was a cadet who I didn't get along with at all. I knew this person to be a troublemaker, and I was trying to be a good student in military school, a good cadet. And there he was next to me, and I thought, oh, great. Not only am I breaking the school rules and potentially about to get caught, but I'm about to get caught with this guy who's known for being bad. So this was the plot which unfolded very rapidly for me in the dream. And I don't remember any of the dream after that point. I just remember being very scared and very aware that I was in a lot of trouble, and thinking, how in the world did this happen? And feeling my body feel like energy, and having everything appear to me, including the assistant commandant and the cadet next to me, everything appeared to me to be very real. And then it was over. The dream was over. So the next morning I woke up and I thought, what an odd dream. I know I've been learning about astral projection. I know sometimes it can happen in your dreams, in what are called lucid dreams, where you suddenly become aware of the dream and you could kind of take charge of it, but I didn't really take charge of that dream at all. It kind of took charge of me, but my body felt like energy. So there I am trying to put all these pieces together. What does this mean? Did I astral project? Did I have a strange dream? It was different than the other dreams I've had in my past. What does this all mean? And later on that day, in my waking life, in my reality, I saw the cadet who I had seen the night before in my dream. And I walked up to him. This is a person who I wouldn't normally speak to. I wouldn't normally associate with him because he was known as one of the bad kids, one of the bad students. I really didn't want to be seen as being like him, so I didn't talk to him normally. But I went up to him that day, and I asked him a simple question, and I made sure that I didn't lead him in any way. I said, "What did you dream about last night?" And he said, "I dreamt about you." And I said, "Really? Describe the dream." He described the exact dream that I had. He described in detail the exact dream that I had been in, and it lasted the same amount of time that my dream did also. His body felt like energy. He was seeing me. He was hiding with me behind the buses. He saw the assistant commandant. It's at that point that I realized I was making progress in astral projection. Maybe not the kind of progress I wanted to make, but it showed me that this was real. What I want to do is teach you how to astral project in a controlled way. When I did it that time, for the first time, it was a very uncontrolled situation. I eventually learned to harness it, and now that it's been over 20 years since that first experience, I understand how to astral project and control it. So let's look at that process that we can use to astral project and control it. Okay, let's start out with what astral projection is. I've given you a little glimpse into it from my story, but what is really going on? What are the dynamics of astral projection? Well, first of all, there's a three-dimensional world that you're aware of. It has length, width, and height. Everything in this world that you will experience has three dimensions to it: length, width, and height. If you hold an object in your hand, you can describe how long it is, how tall it is. You can describe how long it is, how wide it is, and how tall it is. Imagine holding a cube in your hand, and it has length, width, and height. Well, everything has length, width, and height. You have length, width, and height. The home you live in has length, width, and height. Everything you'll experience in this world has that because we're in a three-dimensional world. There are three dimensions. The astral plane, the plane in which astral projection occurs, is in the fourth dimension. That added dimension means that it's at a higher vibratory rate. So that world is actually interposed on this world. That world, that astral world, exists exactly where the three-dimensional world exists. So the fourth dimension exists where the third dimension exists, but you don't see it normally because it's at a higher vibratory rate. Everything in the fourth dimension, all of the particles that make up the fourth dimension are vibrating more quickly than the components of the third dimensional world. Our atoms and neutrons and protons and so forth are vibrating at a certain frequency. The components of the fourth dimensional world are vibrating at a higher frequency than those in the third dimensional world, and that's why we don't see them. That's why generally you don't see ghosts or any of the structures in the fourth dimensional world, or people's astral bodies, or people who have passed on from this life. Generally, you don't see that. Some people can see that. Some people can see that all the time. Generally, you don't see that because of the difference in the vibratory rates. However, when you're in your astral body, which is also at a higher vibratory rate, you can see all of this. You can see the creatures that exist in the fourth dimensional world, which we'll talk about later. You can see other people's astral bodies. You can see people who have passed on. You can see structures that exist only in the fourth dimension. You can see a lot of things when you're in your astral body. Now, once you realize that you're always actually in your astral body, then you can start to see these things in the daytime also if you want to. Okay, so what I want you to realize is that the third dimension exists exactly where the fourth dimension exists, but the worlds don't collide or get in each other's way because of the difference in the vibratory rate. Think of it like a balloon passing through a cloud. The balloon can pass through the cloud. It's not exactly the same situation, but at least it gives you some sort of visual representation. The balloon in this case would represent your astral body. The cloud would represent a physical structure, so it can pass right through without disturbing it. Okay, So that's the way the fourth dimensional world, the astral world, works in relation to what we consider to be reality, what we have grown up with, what we've always seen. Let's now look at how the individual components of the astral world work. You have an astral body, which you can call your soul or your spirit, that exists within your body. It's a duplicate of your body. It has arms and fingers and legs. It has what your body has. It has a head, but it stays within your physical body. Now, sometimes you'll hear about people having surgery or dreams, of course, where their astral body floats out of their body. And that's why we're able to astral project, because it can separate from the body. It can occupy a different position than the body. But under normal circumstances, your astral right hand is inside your third dimensional right hand, and your astral left hand is inside your third dimensional left hand. So not only is it an exact duplicate of your body, but it occupies the same place at the same time as your body. They stay together, they stay synchronized. When we astral project, we take one out of the other. We take the fourth dimensional astral body out of the third dimensional physical body. And you may think, wow, isn't that a little dangerous? Isn't that what happens when you die? Your soul leaves your body? What if it doesn't come back? Well, you don't have to worry about that, because your astral body is connected to your physical body by what's called the silver cord. The silver cord attaches from your umbilicus, meaning your belly button, to the umbilicus or the belly button of your astral body. So your physical body's umbilicus is connected to your spiritual body's umbilicus by the silver cord. And the silver cord can get as long as it wants. It's kind of like an extension cord that goes on forever. It can be really short or really long. And it doesn't lump up or get tangled or anything like that. You're not going to run out of cord. You can go anywhere you want, and it is going to stay connected. When I say anywhere you want, I mean anywhere you want. I mean, if you want to visit Jupiter, you can visit Jupiter. The cord is going to stay intact. If you want to go way beyond that to a different solar system, you can do that. There are no limitations. That's another interesting thing about the fourth dimension. These limitations of space and time that you've grown up with, they don't exist in the fourth dimension. Time is really more of a psychological experience anyway. When you think about how much time did that take, it seems to be more of a psychological experience. And Einstein demonstrated that time isn't exactly what we thought it was anyway. It's affected by gravity. How can time be affected by gravity? Einstein came along and said it can. So this thing we call time is kind of strange anyway. But in the fourth dimension, time is not a constraint at all. Neither is distance. So if I want to travel from where I'm sitting right now in my recording studio to Jupiter, I can do it. Faster than you can blink your eyes, I can do it. And then I can come back, because time and space are not obstacles in the fourth dimension. Your astral body does not have to worry about that. Objects that exist in the third dimension are also not obstacles. For example, if I need to astral project to Jupiter for whatever reason, I can do that through my roof. I don't have to go out my door and climb on the roof and then jump or anything like that. I don't have to go out my door, stand in the middle of the street and jump up and down until I take off to go to Jupiter. No, I can go directly to Jupiter right through my roof. So because my roof and the, quote, time it takes to travel the, quote, distance to Jupiter don't exist in the fourth dimension. Time, distance, physical objects, they don't exist in the fourth dimension. Now, there are objects in the fourth dimension which you will observe. Those exist in the fourth dimension, and those are actual objects which you will have to go around. But the structures that you've gotten so accustomed to seeing, buildings, people, the ground, anything else, those structures that you see do not exist in the fourth dimension. They don't have fourth dimensional counterparts like your body does, or like the bodies of others do, or like the bodies of animals do. Because animals have astral bodies also, just like humans do. So you don't have to worry about any of these physical structures that you've seen stopping you. Okay, so that takes care of your physical body as it relates to your astral body and all these physical things that you've seen as they relate to the fourth dimension and time and space and so forth. We've covered all of that. Now let's talk about your overself. Your overself. Your overself is the actual essence of yourself, and you may never actually see your overself, and that's okay. Have you ever thought that you have a higher purpose in your life, that there's something that you're supposed to do that you're not doing, or every now and then you tap into that thing that you're supposed to do and you feel really good, or maybe you're fortunate enough to be doing that thing that you're supposed to be doing all the time and you always feel tuned into it and you feel good about yourself? It's sort of like a message from above. Maybe you think you are predestined to do something. Well, that message comes from your overself. Your overself is that part of you that is sending you down to this three-dimensional experience where we have all these limitations so that you can learn something, so you can take that information back to the overself. You're constantly feeding it back. Think of the overself like the king or queen of a country, and the king or queen of the country sends off a ship with a ship's captain. Well, the king or queen represents your overself. Your overself. The king or queen wants to know what's in a foreign country. So the king or queen sends off this ship, which is your physical body. Sends off the ship. It's the thing that carries you. It's the vessel that you travel through your life with, your physical body. There are all kinds of different ships, different shapes and sizes, but they're all ships. Some sail fast, some sail slowly. Some are more like jet skis, some are more like barges. But they're all ships, and they all have someone who's in charge of the ship's captain. The ship's captain is your astral body. Now, a lot of people, when they travel on the high seas, they think that they have to stay with the ship. They have to stay with the ship. They don't realize that they can get out and go for a swim sometimes. Your main goal here in this third-dimensional existence is to gather information to enhance the knowledge that your overself has. That's why you're here. So you don't have to astral project. It's not as if it's going to actually enhance the experience that you have. Your overself wants you to have a third-dimensional experience. But every now and then, why not take a little swim in the ocean? Go ahead and astral project. Have some other experiences that are not on the ship. Take a little vacation. Go to an island and get out and walk around on it. That getting out and walking around on an island or taking a little swim in the water equates to astral projection. You're the captain. You're the astral body. You get out of the ship. You walk around or you swim and you get back on the ship, which is your body. And the king or queen of your country is very happy that now you're continuing on your journey. So many people get caught up in thinking that they are their physical body. Imagine that. How silly would that be if a captain of a ship thought that he or she happened to be that ship? Would they be considered to be sane? I don't think so. They'd be considered to be insane. The captain thinks they're the ship. Or imagine somebody going by on a jet ski and they think they are the jet ski and they announce, "I am the jet ski." Would that be silly? Of course it would. You are not your physical body. You are something else. You are a soul having a physical experience sent by your overself. That's what you are. That's why you're here. And when you go and take a little journey off the ship or onto the island, you are connected to the ship. Think of it like a rope tied around your waist and connected to the ship, so that if you ever get lost, doesn't matter, you can get right back to the ship. Just follow the rope. Well, when you astral project, it's even simpler than that. You're going to sometimes be pulled back. If there's danger out there, or if you wake up, you'll be pulled back. You don't have to worry about someone cutting the rope or getting lost or getting it tied around a tree or anything like that. Not going to happen. You're going to come back.